Okay, here we go. Thank you. James, you want to take roll for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
The Director of Finance, Ms. Pearl.
Here.
Mr. Tang.
Here.
Mr. Juarez. Committee Chair Keeley, you have a quorum.
Thank you.
Would you like me to proceed with the statement on public
Yes,
comment?
please. Thank you.
The CalSTRS board meetings are live web streamed, video archived, and available to the public on calstrs.com. Individuals who wish to address the board should wait for the 10-minute public comment period at the end of the agenda item the speaker wishes to address. For comments not pertaining to specific agenda items, there will be an opportunity for additional statements at the end of the open session. Each speaker is allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to comment. However, if there is not enough time for each speaker to have 3 minutes, the timing will be at the discretion of the chair. Please be advised, while criticism is protected, abusive language or other disruptive behavior that goes beyond protected speech and impedes the meeting's progress may result in the termination of further comment and/or removal if the behavior continues. To protect the privacy of speakers under the age of 18 who wish to address the board, only their first name and affiliated organization may be provided, but other personal identifying information, such as their last name, age, or school, may not be shared. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any objection? Seeing none, the agenda has been approved.
Are we doing roll call vote on
Oh.
this?
Do we need one?
Generally, we are.
Okay, yeah,
because-
go ahead. Yeah, let's do it then. Yeah, okay. Let's do a roll call.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Ms. Pearl,
Aye.
Mr. Tang,
Aye.
Mr. Juarez,
Aye.
Mr. Keeley, I think you need to vote on
Aye.
this one.
Yeah,
Aye.
thank
Okay.
you. Item 2 is an information item, labor market benchmark study. Crystal Turco and Josh Wilson and Susan Lemke from Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Crystal Turco, CalSTRS staff. This is an information item focused on the initiation of the labor benchmark study via the CEO delegation. As a reminder, the labor benchmark study is a key responsibility of the committee and critical to the board's compensation policy and objectives by ensuring staff compensation stay in line with the competitive market. The labor benchmark study is typically completed on a 2-year cycle to avoid wide variances of market data that may occur between longer assessments of longer intervals. The last labor benchmark study was completed in 2024, at which time the board approved adjustments to the base salary ranges for most of the positions under the board's compensation authority, excluding the senior investment director and the senior portfolio manager classifications. In 2024, there were no recommendations for changes to incentive compensation opportunities. The last increases to the incentive opportunities were approved by the board in June of 2019. Excuse me. Staff will procure the services of McLaughlin Aon to conduct a labor benchmark pay analysis of the base salary and incentives for the positions under your authority. Historically, McLaughlin has conducted the analysis as they understand the established comparator groups and serve as an industry expert and primary data source in the compensation industry. To maintain continuity of information, staff felt it prudent to again engage with McLaughlin for this effort. In March of 2026, the board's primary compensation strategist, Mercer, which you, Mr. Chair, so nicely pointed out, Josh and Susan, who are here today, and I will return to present any market data variances for the committee's consideration. That concludes my remark. Josh, Susan, and I are happy to take any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you, Crystal. Any questions on what staff will be doing with McLaughlin gathering this data. Yep. Did I get you, Steve? Yeah, go ahead, Steve. Did I get you?
So in March, we get a fully completed study. And do we accept that study? Is that the motion that we would undertake in March?
So typically, yes, I would bring it back for action in March. However, during the previous labor benchmark study, it was requested that I bring it back for information first in March, and then May for the board's, or excuse me, for the committee's action. So there is flexibility.
But you may follow that. You may follow either routine. Either we adopt it in March,
In March.
or we it's almost like a first reading.
Correct.
And then we bring it
Correct.
back in.
As long as we take action before the beginning of the plan year, which is July 1.
Yeah.
So we have some flexibility.
Okay, we'll look to your direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Any other questions? Okay, great. Seeing none, we'll go to the next information item. Crystal?
Thank you. Item 3 is an information item focused on the initiation of a comprehensive review of the compensation policy and administrative procedures. This review will be led by Mercer and is designed to ensure the policy and procedures remain aligned with industry best practice standards and CalSTRS long-term organizational goals. The committee's last comprehensive review occurred in 2009. In intervening years, the committee has reviewed or adopted performance criteria, measures, and weightings on an as-needed basis. In November of 2018, the board delegated this authority to the CEO. Recent evaluations indicate that CalSTRS' total reward lagged behind the competitive market. In 2017, findings presented by McLaughlin showed CalSTRS' total reward market position lagged primarily due to long-term incentives offered within the established peer group. As part of the board's 25-26 work plan, staff recommend the committee undertake a scheduled review of the compensation policy and administrative procedures in accordance with its authority. The review should be conducted by the board's external compensation consultant in order to assess the continued relevance, clarity, and effectiveness of the current policy and procedures. Today, Mercer will provide initial thoughts about the current policy and procedures to assist the committee in focusing priorities for this review. The board's compensation consultant will begin this review process, this fall of 2025. A summary of key findings and initial recommendations will be presented at the that is a mistake, at the May 2026 committee meeting with final recommendations. It will be a two-step process. We will bring initial recommendations back in March of 2026 and then final recommendations in May of 2026. This process will support the board in determining whether any policy or procedural changes are warranted. And with that, I will turn it over to Josh and Susan to maybe at a high level talk about just some of your initial findings or observations about the current policy and procedures.
Thank you, Crystal, and thank you, Mr. Chair. We've had the opportunity to do a preliminary review of the policy, and part of our goal between now and March is to be able to talk with each of the board members to make sure that we understand any concerns you may have about the policy, any areas of clarification or organization that you might find is helpful for you to have it better serve your goals and support the work that you do. And some of the underlying goals, as said in the materials, we want to make sure that the materials are clear and easy to understand, that they cover all of the elements that you may want to have, all the details regarding the incentive program, for example, but also be able to easily understand and see the information about the compensation philosophy and other elements. So that is going to be our goal over the next few months. Josh, anything else?
No, I think important for those policies, which are essentially your compensation philosophy, put in writing so everyone can understand them, to be clear and modern, to take you forward. As we mentioned, that the last time a comprehensive review was done was in 2009, and you have been updating it since, but this is a good time to take a look as you look to the future, where you're going to be in 5, 10, 15 years, and make sure that your compensation policies will be able to take you there.
Thank you. Committee members, questions, inquiries? Okay, so we look forward to the interviews that you'll conduct with each one of the committee members. Just for clarification purposes, you're going to interview only the compensation committee members, or you're going to be interviewing each member of the board?
I think we'll start with the compensation committee.
Okay.
And if there's an appetite or need to talk to everybody, then we'll take direction from the chair.
Yeah, thank you. That's wise and prudent, good approach. Like it's been in the 2009, it's 2025, and we'll get the preliminary reports back in March of 2026. Essentially, the policy is really about attracting, retaining, and rewarding our staff. And so part of the analysis we'll surely want some data around retention levels. Be very important to have that. Some of the other items that I'd like to just surface, obviously you'll be interviewing each one of the committee members. However, a lot has changed since 2009, including this board, with the exception of myself. So I have a little history and context, and I think some things that would be helpful to also look at would be some of the formulas that we use, the 2/3, 1/3, which is the comparative group. We look 2/3 at public funds and 1/3 at the private sector. What happens if you change those formulas to 50-50, 3/4, 25%? What does that do? I think another area to look at is the comparative group relevant today? I think another area that came up earlier in the day is to look at each one of the 3 buckets and the percentages that are used for asset class, total fund, and qualitative, whether or not those percentages are in fact serving us well today and into the future as we're talking about a total fund or one fund approach, and get your views on that. Our CIO has outlined and shared vision that we're going to be talking about and have been talking about, and 3 distinct goals of that long-term vision: the total fund, the resilient fund, and around technology, and working with the staff and our governance consultant, whether there's an area that those 3 goals can be measurable and quantified in terms of incentivizing that. I also think it's super important for us to really drill down on who our true competitors are. Who do we really risk losing our talent to? We want to be fair, and we want to be competitive. And we also deal with this internal equity issue that is written in our policy, super, super important, that this board has been committed to throughout the years. Many topics, and I'm really going to be curious to see how my colleagues in those one-on-one interviews with you impart their views and their philosophies, keeping in mind that overarching theme: attracting, retaining, and rewarding the best talent we possibly can. Big changes that have taken place, obviously, since 2020 and COVID, is the remote work. How does a compensation consultant look at that in an organization? Each day I pick up the Paramount is now requiring all their workers to come back 5 days a week. It's non-negotiable. How does that component looked at from a consultant's perspective? Is it something that attracts people? We have a San Francisco office. Anecdotally, we know that has been received very positively as we're thinking about the future of CalSTRS. What might other offices look like in terms of an attraction tool? So there's a litany of things I'm sure you've thought about in your preliminary review, but so much has changed. but one thing hasn't: attraction, retention, and rewarding, and being fair and competitive in today's marketplace. Mr. Juarez.
Yeah, I would hope that when you get around to doing this, that we get, what's the rationale? Because again, even looking at our existing policies, I'm never sure about, whether it's a mix between quantitative and qualitative, or whether it's determining what the percentages are for various competitor groups, whether they're public or private. It would be helpful to know what exactly are we saying when we set up those formulas. So what is the rationale? Why are we doing it that way? So I would hope that when we get into that conversation, we'll get clarity on that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Juarez. Mr. Oppenheim.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you for that really good background, and really value the perspective you have, having a long-term, most institutional memory, so we understand what's in front of us and the challenges. As a new board member, one of the things I've heard a lot is the new business strategic plan that the organization is following. And when I think about 2009 to today, that just making sure the strategic goals are also aligned when we think about this new incentive plan, that I would just reemphasize what the chair mentioned, how much things have changed. And always trying to be in alignment with our goals and our strategies so that everything pushes the same way, instead of having potentially contrary incentives that row us the wrong way.
Thank you, Mr. Oppenheim. Any other questions? One other piece that I think is important, that has been consistent throughout the years, has been the board's desire, to the extent possible, quantifying the benefits of working in a public agency where defined benefits are offered to our employees. And obviously, there's been pension reform, and there are different levels of retention for people that were hired after the pension reform and those that were hired prior to pension reform. So I think that's material, and if we can somehow quantify that and us wrestle with it and understand what the implications of that may be, and if there's ways of mitigating or remedying some of those issues, I think that we'd be interested in looking at that. And then my final thought on it is, to the extent possible, keeping it as simple as possible, so that each and every one of us who are charged with this oversight, and then our staff that has to implement it, truly understands what the policy is, it's defensible, and we can describe it easily to others and be proud of it. So we look forward to your work, and where it's appropriate, we want to be able to make sure that through the appropriate channels we get feedback from the executives. Where it is appropriate, we want to make sure we follow the appropriate guidelines, but knowing how they're thinking about it would be really helpful as well. Okay, anyone? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Look forward to your work, and we'll be in touch. Next item, Crystal?
That concludes the information items. You're on to item 4, your consent agenda.
Any objection to the consent agenda? Anyone want to pull anything on the consent? Seeing none. Item 5 is the review of information requests.
Excuse me, Mr. Keeley.
Any public comments for items 1, 2, 3, or 4?
No, but I do think you need to approve the minutes.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
It's been moved, properly second. Without objection, the minutes have been approved. Thanks, Lamont.
No, it's roll call.
Roll call vote. Do a roll call vote. Okay,
Ms. Peralt,
we'll get it right.
Mr. Oppenheim,
Aye.
Mr. Tang,
Aye.
Mr. Juarez,
Aye.
Aye.
Chair Keeley, would you, okay.
Aye. Anything else I'm supposed to do, Lamont? All good?
Just conclude any other statements from the public.
Any statements from the public?
No public comment for this item.
Okay, thank you. Were there any information requests other than the ones that were articulated to the comp consultants? No. Thank you. Crystal, you want to review the agenda for our next committee meeting, which will be in January, is it?
That is correct.
Yep.
The next comp committee is scheduled for January. It is solely focused on education. We will be meeting with the chair and Madam Vice Chair to get feedback on perhaps educational topics. And then we can work with you, Mr. Chair, to see, if there isn't a topic that you think is critical in January, and you would prefer to continue the focus on the review of the policy and the procedures, perhaps there is flexibility to not have a compensation committee in January.
Yeah, we can, we'll see if we surface and identify a really critically important education item, we'll have that. We may think that we want Mercer may be ready to provide us with some preliminary feedback with what they're hearing from our colleagues. That's certainly possible. So we have that item and the agenda set aside for January, and we also have the discretion to say, it's best to give the committee the time back, and there's no need for us to meet in January, and we're going to get this report in March. So we'll have that flexibility. Okay. Anything else, Crystal?
Nothing else?
Thank you. Any members of the public that want to comment on that item?
There are no members of the public in the queue.
Okay. And item 7 is the opportunity for statements of the public. Any members of the public, Samantha?
No members of the public for general public comment.
Thank you. Any questions, comments for the good of the order? Josh, Susan, we look forward to the interviews and working with you in the year ahead and with our staff. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Can we say something about appeals?
Oh, sure, Ms. Yamamoto.
Okay, can appeals start in about, 10 minutes? 10 minutes?
Great. Thank you, Karen.